So welcome to my kitchen, and I hope you enjoy being here today. And I'm gonna talk about a few things, but you know, when I make videos, and that doesn't look right to me, but I guess it is. I'm not gonna go over. I'm gonna pass the temptation. I always forget telling you something, and I was talking about my protocol, what I take for supplements and what I don't take. Well, one thing I forgot to tell you, and most of you I'm sure are going to say, ugh, how could anybody enjoy those? Well, I eat sardines, and they're Wild Planet, wild sardines, and this one is an extra virgin olive oil with lemon, and I eat almost a can a day. And I enjoy it, but what it gives me, it's my omega-3. It's my fish. And they used to have on the package a whole bunch of nice information, but I don't know why they took it off, but it's North Pacific sardines. Okay, and I was going to read you someplace on, oh, here it is. It's 3 ounces, and it's got 18 grams of protein. The old packages used to say per volume it had more protein in it than a steak. Okay, and what else could I share with you? Anyway, that's one of the things I take, and I like them, so it isn't hard. So I just wanted to show you that and then get on with the day. And really what I'm doing today, I'm getting my lunch, or preparing it. And I'm taking the 12-week hardiness approach course. Anyway, Rhonda and Jim's course for 12 weeks. And she sends out 5 recipes each week. And I really wanted to try the spaghetti, squash, and chicken with fresh pesto in a skillet. Well, what I want to tell you today is don't be a slave to recipes. I don't have everything, but I'm going to make it anyway. And I went to print off the recipe so I could tell you, and my printer, anyway, it didn't work. So I'm just going to tell you, it's a half of spaghetti squash, and it was baked in the oven for 45 minutes, and she says to bake it at 375. And it's a chicken, and she cooks chicken tenders in the skillet. Well, right off the bat, I had a problem and a conflict. I didn't have any chicken tenders. What I had were chicken thighs. And so when I baked my spaghetti squash, I also cooked my chicken thighs. And they're in the oven right now, staying warm. And the spaghetti, she said cook it at 375. But my chicken thighs really do best at 425. So I compromised. They cooked at 400, and they're both fine. And then she said, and she has the recipe for the pesto. My pesto isn't the same, and it's probably not as much because I've been eating it. But you put it right in with a spaghetti squash, and that goes in and mixed around. And you saw me make this pesto the other day, the avocado pesto. So that's what I'm using because that's what I had. But since I have eaten quite a bit of it, I don't know why, but I have. Whoops, I see a little squash seed in there. Ah, there. I went out and picked some of my Asian basil, and I am going to add it. I'm going to cut the stems off and just sort of snip it up, if I can find my scissors. Well, if I can't, I know I had them because I went out and used them. Oh, this is always being prepared, isn't it? And you guys can probably see them. Ah, but you can't because they're on the table. Okay. Now I'm just, and everything I have here is washed up, so we don't have to worry about that. Whoops, and I'm just going to snip some little pieces of my Asian basil in there and put that on, and this. Okay, and a little more. My daughter had a friend once that had a certain recipe that she used over and over again, and she was complaining to my daughter about it because the recipe called for 3/4 of a pound of hamburger, and she was only able to get pound packages at her store. And what was she going to do with that 1/4 pound? And we both had to laugh. There's 3 obvious things. She could save up each time until she had the 3/4 pounds again. Or she could make one nice meaty whatever it was and use the whole pound. Oh, and I'm adding a little olive oil to the thing to compensate for the lost pesto. Okay, so basil, and that's what I'm doing to compensate. I am just improvising on this recipe with things I have. Okay, so that's ready to go. The chicken's in the oven. The salad's in the refrigerator. And I'll probably have string beans too. I'm not sure on that. Okay, then in her recipe, oh, I started to tell you, and the third option that woman had, she could have just divided it in half and made 2 of them and not had it so hamburgery. So you want to just, with what you have. Okay, hers had mushrooms. I don't have any mushrooms. Dried tomatoes. I do have dried tomatoes, but I may use a fresh tomato. Okay, I don't have spinach, but I have Swiss chard. And she uses cashews. I might use sesame seeds. Now what I do have, I'm going to saute some onions and probably some garlic and a zucchini. I know it's squash on squash, but this is green and green. So I have red, white, and green. And it ought to look very pretty. The chicken and the spaghetti squash with a pesto in it. Okay, I can hardly wait. And I think what I'm going to do on my zucchini, I am going to cut it in maybe cubes. And so that's how I'm going to take care of that. Oh, my doggie. She's joining us. And I'm not going to take you through all of this because I'm not. I just want to show you a little bit what I'm doing and give you an idea. So, also you might ask, why is an 81-year-old lady that's almost on the same page as Jim and Rinda, I'd like to be on the same page, why am I taking the class? Because I'm still learning things. And it's important, I think it's important. You're never too old to learn. It's important to know things. And so I wanted to take it, and I could, so I did. And I'm glad I did. I am learning things. And it's also reinforcing, I'm looking for my knife, things that I've already learned and sort of putting them in place. So thank you, Jim and Rinda. And look it up. see if it's something you'd like to do. Anyway, I'm cutting this up in little nice cubes. And once another thing, on the top of this, when you get done, you grate some Parmesan cheese. I don't have that either. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put Jack cheese. And I'm going to grate that on mine. And that's going to be my dinner today. So, I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to continue making my dinner. And all I want to remind you that when you have a recipe and you don't have everything in it, but see, I had the main stuff. The main thing was it was spaghetti squash, chicken, and pesto. I had the three main things. Everything else you can improvise and do with what you have. And you're not tied down to say, oh, I can't make that. I don't have that. Even if you didn't have chicken, I bet you could make it with beef. Oh yeah, I think it would be good. So even that. And just be creative, and you have to work with what you have. Okay? With that, I'm going to let you go. Have a good day, and we'll see you coming up, and have a good lunch. Enjoy.